Hey, this is Mad Matt from Budget Boostin'. Today we're going to talk about something that I've received a lot of comments and messages about, and we're going to put this to bed today. We're going to talk about blow-off valves. And like I said in my video for blow-through carbureting, basically, I put one on this 280ZX blow-through turbo setup because I had one. I didn't do it because I had to. I did it because, well, I had one. It came with an air cleaner combo. It was on sale. So I put it on this car. And before I had the blow-off valve, I had the turbocharger installed. The same very turbocharger has been installed in the Z for 8 years. And I put the blow-off valve on it 2 years ago. And really, I haven't noticed anything besides the... So basically, there's a lot of opinions out there. But my humble opinion, and always will be, it's up to the tuner and what you're tuning for. There are some turbochargers that are ball bearing turbos that respond really fast, and you want to decelerate them fast too when you let off the throttle. Therefore, tuners put on blow-off valves for that. Me, I usually pick non-ball bearing turbos. That's usually what I have on most of my cars right now. I have a TO4E, just a regular roller bearing turbocharger. And there's no ball bearing, it's just a roller bearing. Same with my 300ZX turbo and my Buick Grand National turbo. Now, of these three cars, this one here is the only one with a blow-off valve. It's just because I happen to have it. And when I ran this car before I put the blow-off valve on, it ran fine. Acceleration, deceleration, letting off the throttle. And mind you, I always keep my throttle plate open a little bit with my idle adjustment with my screwdriver. I keep the throttle open a little bit. So my throttle is never all the way closed on any of my cars because it's set to idle, which means the throttle opens. So you never have a throttle position. You're never closed on the throttle. So, anywho, moving on, I'm going to show you two of my cars that do not have blow-off valves and run real good. And then at the end of this video, we're going to take a drive in all three cars. The 280ZX turbo with the blow-off valve, the 300ZX turbo with the same turbocharger as this one without a blow-off valve, and it has an intercooler. This one has an intercooler. All three cars have intercoolers, but two of the three do not have blow-off valves. This has a blow-off valve. I got a great deal on it. The 300ZX turbo over here, I never put a blow-off valve on it because I didn't need it. Got a regular TO4E turbocharger, front mount intercooler, boost controller. I chose to not run a blow-off valve because for this tune, the turbo responds much better without one. So as a tuner's choice, I chose to not put a blow-off valve on this. And a lot of people will disagree with me, but I've had the turbo in this car for 3 years. And this turbocharger still performs optimally. Now we're going to move over to my 87 Buick Grand National. Okay, this is my 1987 Buick Regal Grand National. It's turbocharged, intercooled. See a blow-off valve anywhere? No, nada. This car was made in 1987. The only reason I changed to this upgraded T66 is for performance. The original Garrett T60 turbocharger was with this car for 27 years and didn't have any problems, and the car never had a blow-off valve. Never had a blow-off valve. Are we clear now? Many tuners do not put blow-off valves on their car, but some tuners choose to for their performance and the reaction of their engine. There's a lot of people that tune their chips to blow-off valves. That being said, they're great for those tuners, but then there's tuners like me and many others that do not run a blow-off valve because they affect the turbo response. And I don't get the turbo response that I like because when you let off the gas, you lose all your boost and you have to re-spool. This setup, I can let off the gas and get right back on it and I'm back on boost. Quick response, no problem. Tune's great. What I have here is the original turbo from my 1987 Buick Regal Grand National. This turbo worked good until I changed it with the T66. the turbo worked. I pulled it off for an upgrade. I didn't pull it off because there was a problem with it. As you can see, this turbo is awesome for 27 years old. Original Garrett turbocharger. Never came with a blow-off valve. Never had a blow-off valve. 27 years, not one problem on this turbocharger. A lot of the comments I received on my blow-through turbo video stated that if I didn't run a blow-off valve, my turbo would be destroyed. My turbo is not destroyed after 27 years. What more of a test do you need, guys? Mad Matt out! Mad Matt again. I've got the 1979 280ZX turbo with a blow-off valve. We're going to take a run down this little back street, this little back road. We're going to take this car for a ride, then we're going to turn around and get the 300ZX turbo without a blow-off valve, and we'll compare notes. Watch very carefully, and just know this car has more horsepower than the 300ZX anyway, and the Buick Grand National has more horsepower than both of them, and that doesn't have a blow-off valve. So we're just going to compare driving and boost and everything like that. He's going to watch with the camera while I accelerate with all three cars. First, the blow-off valve equipped 280ZX turbo. Then we're going to take the 300ZX turbo without a blow-off valve, and then the Grand National without a blow-off valve. Compare notes and we'll close off. Here we go. Here's my 1986 Nissan 300ZX Turbo with an aftermarket turbocharger TO4E, front mount intercooler, boost controller, and no blow-off valve. We're going to take this down the road and take a look at it. This turbo setup has been on this car for 3 years. So far so good. Original turbo still kicking butt and taking names. The original turbo on this car was perfect until I removed it too. And this car never came with a blow-off valve. It came up with a relief valve in case your wastegate fails. Any boost levels above 8 pounds get bled out of the manifold. That's the factory relief valve, but by no way, shape, or form is that a blow-off valve. Questions? Here we go. Alright, here I am with my 1987 Buick Regal Grand National. As I showed you earlier in this video, I took the original Garrett turbocharger off because I wanted a much larger T66, which is on here now. There was nothing wrong with the turbo after 27 years. It ran great. I just wanted more performance. So I put this T66 on there, and this car has never had a blow-off valve, and I haven't changed since. I like this car just as it is. It turbocharges great. Everything is awesome. This thing pulls it pulls crazy, and it does colossal burnouts on demand. Questions? Here we go. Well, today we talked about blow-off valves. And as I said before, and I'll say it again, I never tell anybody to not put a blow-off valve on their car. As I always say, it's the tuner's preference. You tune for what you're going for. You tune for boost. You tune for when you want your boost to hit hard and when you want it to back off. So some tuners run the blow-off valve. Some tuners like myself run them sometimes, depending on what I want my turbo to respond like. As for the Buick Grand National, the 300ZX Turbo, They do just fine without a blow-off valve, and I get great performance, great response, and I've had these turbos on my car for quite some time now, and I have never seen a blow-off valve destroy a turbo. If you have oil not going to and from your turbocharger, your turbo is done. If you have an overheating problem with not enough oil in your bearings, your turbo is done. If you're the type of person that drives your car hard and doesn't let your engine idle down for 5 minutes, let the turbo oil circulate through the turbocharger, that will take a turbo out too. There's many contributing factors that can make a turbo fail, and not one of them is a blow-off valve. So, I've read your comments. Some of your comments make sense, some of your comments do not. But the bottom line is a blow-off valve is the tuner's choice. It's not a necessity. And thank you for watching Budget Boostin'. If you like us on Facebook, like us on our channel, like us on YouTube, budgetboosting.com. Budget Boosting window stickers coming. 20 bucks, buy it now auctions on eBay. So, after all this, remember, knowledge is power. It's horsepower. Drag bike.